Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sydney Opera House and to the awards ceremony for the Sydney International Piano Competition. The competition opened with a gala evening at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music on Wednesday the 5th of July and concluded at 5 p.m. this afternoon. In those intervening 18 days, we heard some inspiring and impressive performances from 32 talented young pianists from around the world. This last week, we had the pleasure of hearing our 6 finalists in this beautiful concert hall with the wonderful Sydney Symphony Orchestra. And tonight, we're meeting again to present the awards to our prize winners. My name is Mark Coughlin. I'll be your host for the evening. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people, the traditional custodians of Tubagali, the land on which the Sydney Opera House stands. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples who are with us today. I would now like to invite to the stage our 6 finalists, plus our Australian pianist who reached the semi-finals. Please welcome them. I would now like to invite our generous prize donors and our VIP guests to the stage. I would now like to invite our distinguished jury and our artistic director to join us on the stage. Can I now please ask you all to be upstanding for the arrival of Their Excellencies the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, General the Honourable David Hurley and Mrs Hurley. Please be standing. Thank you very much. Please resume your seats. And it gives me great pleasure to invite His Excellency the Governor-General to speak to us now.
Well, good evening. It's an absolute pleasure for Linda and I to be here tonight to be part of the awards ceremony, but also a few words about this afternoon as well. But I also begin by acknowledging the traditional owners, the Gadigal people, the Eora Nation, pay respect to elders past and present, and mindful at the moment of our responsibilities to the younger generation who are really critical to the future of this country. Could I acknowledge Dr Virginia Braden, the Chair of the Sydney, Mr Marcus Barker, the Chief Executive, the Honourable Bromden Bishop, Chair of the Friends of the Sydney, Mr Piers Lane, our Jury Chair and jury members, to our donors and supporters, competitors, finalists, ladies and gentlemen. Well, what a gift we have been given, and how fortunate are we, and how fortunate are all those who enjoyed the performances of each of our 32 competitors throughout this competition. This afternoon, Linda and I had enjoyed a small selection of what was on offer. How uplifting, how superb were the performers. More emotions as you sat there listening been carried away by these performances. More emotions, I think, in that 2 hours than an entire season of Ted Lasso. And I'm sure that, like me, none of you would like to be in our jurors' shoes tonight. It's an absolute delight for Linda and me to be here tonight as part of a live awards presentation and competition, the first since 2016. Congratulations to all involved, the artists, the jury, the Sydney leadership team, organisers, donors and sponsors. Now almost 50 years old, the Sydney holds an esteemed place in the international calendar for piano competitions. It is an incredible showcase of Australian and international talent, and it's an event we should feel enormously proud about. The Sydney really is an important part of the fabric of our Australian society. Tonight I want to, in particular, thank the Sydney leadership and its team for the manner in which they shepherded or guided this competition through the pandemic. It's difficult to imagine how hard it would have been a couple of years ago to create the environment to allow this talent to express itself in a virtual world, and how to continue the competition as we would like to see it continue under difficult circumstances. So, personal and national thanks to the Sydney team for what they did during that time. I particularly want to thank our amazing, talented young musicians for enriching all our lives. Over the last 18 days, we've asked so much of them, really an Olympic-style test of their nerves, talent and composure. And I'm sure for many, this will be an experience of a lifetime. I know that others will thank the many people and organisations that have made the competition possible. Could I add my thanks to each of you, particularly those sitting to my left here. You have given a gift that affects and changes lives, so thank you for that. And to you, our audiences in theatres and online, I hope that you've enjoyed the competition. I hope that you're spreading the word about the competition far and wide to ensure that our halls are filled and that our younger generations are inspired. This is really an intergenerational gift to the future musical talent of the world. Congratulations to our finalists. Unfortunately, we only heard 3 of you today. I'm not a judge, I'm not a musician, I'm not a piano player. Rugby was the furthest I got to using my hands, and that was being caught illegal in a ruck. But you are an amazing representation of talent that comes to this competition. So congratulations, best wishes. I think I, like you, await with bated breath to see the results tonight. Thank you to the jury, thank you to the performers, and thank you for coming along and being so supportive.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those words, and thank you to you and Mrs. Hurley for your support of the competition. It gives me great pleasure now to invite the Chair of the Sydney International Piano Competition, Virginia Braden, to address us.
Well, good evening, everyone. We've come to a very, very exciting part of our competition, the announcement of prize winners. I just can't wait. I've been to all the performances and I'm really looking forward to hearing the outcome. A warm welcome to all of you who are in the concert hall or watching live streaming. I acknowledge His Excellency the Governor-General and Mrs. Hurley, who are music lovers and whose support we appreciate very much, as well as all our distinguished guests here tonight. I think it's fair to say that the eyes of the world are on us, as we know that we have many international viewers through streaming, as well as those in Australia. It's such a fantastic moment as we're poised to hear the outcome of nearly 3 weeks of outstanding music making. We began with 32 competitors and it came down to 6 for the finals. This is what tonight is all about. I want to say thank you to the 32 competitors. Sadly, not all of them are here. They've played an enormous amount of music, very difficult music, and of course our judges also, who I thank very much, who no doubt had a very hard time making a decision. Can you believe that we had 100 performances in this competition? It hardly seems possible. On this night of celebration, I hope you will allow me one serious note. The competition under the umbrella of our new organisation, Piano Plus, is nearly 50 years old. Piano Plus also undertakes many things, including festivals, touring and educational work. We are ambitious and enthusiastic, so there are a lot of other projects and events planned. We have many supporters to whom we are very grateful, and we are reliant on the generous financial and in-kind support we receive. Making sure that the competition and Piano Plus are financially secure is really essential. We want to begin planning with confidence our next competition in 2026 and the many other events that we present. If you have enjoyed listening to the competition and watching the competition by live streaming, we hope you will consider one of the many ways you can become involved in helping us make this happen. Not only financially, but in other ways. There's a lot to find out about in our Piano Plus website or in your programs. Please think about it, we really need you. Now, there are so many people who have made this event possible, but I would particularly like to mention Piers Lane, our Artistic Director, Marcus Barker, our Chief Executive, also his fantastic team, the Sydney Opera House, the Sydney Symphony Orchestra and Andrew Haveron, its concertmaster, and the 2 conductors, the chamber musicians, the piano companies, Mark Coughlin, our Master of Ceremonies, 5Stream, who's responsible, of course, for the streaming, the friends of the competition, volunteers who have been absolutely invaluable and we couldn't do without them, and of course my fellow board directors. I'm not sure where you are, but I hope you can see me. I can't name everybody, but I think those people have been absolutely integral to the running of this competition. Can I simply say a heartfelt thank you to everyone for ensuring that our competition has been a thrilling experience, and our best wishes to our competitors for their future and the future of their careers. And now we're about to find out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Virginia. I'd now like to invite the President of the Friends of the Sydney International Piano Competition, the Honourable Bronwyn Bishop, to address us.
Your Excellencies, distinguished jurors, wonderful musicians, what a beautiful audience, and the generosity of those presenting prizes. Can I say what an honour it is to be the President of the Friends of the Sydney International Piano Competition, formed right at the beginning at the request of my friend Claire Dan, who formed something called the Claire Dan Cultural Exchange Institute, and formed the competition and presented it together with Rex Hobcroft from the Conservatorium. What a long time ago that was. And yet, it was the generous spirit and the great understanding that Claire Dan had that we are sitting here tonight. She was a very generous benefactor, right through. And now it's up to us to make sure we can keep it going and keep her wonderful legacy to us being honoured so that we can continue to hear the most wonderful music that we have heard in the 100 performances that have taken place. At a time when the world is in such a mess, one might say, it is magnificent that we can hear so many young people come together and speak with one voice, one language, music. And it's powerful and emotional, and it tugs at our heartstrings, and it says, we want this to be heard and to be enjoyed and to be loved. To honour their dedication, their interpretation, their wish to be professional in every way, and to have a career that spans the world and spans all differences. We welcome members to become members of our Friends. The more the merrier. We have several hundred members. We run 4 or 5 recitals a year, and we raise the money that enables us to give the first prize of $50,000. Because it is that can give young people a start. It can enhance their opportunities on the world stage. Music is something, as I said, that can bind us and speak to us in a way that nothing else can. And to have the Sydney here as part of the international series of competitions across the world means that it not only offers those opportunities for us to hear glorious music, but indeed it enhances our position of standing on the world stage. That here in Australia, where we have to bring our competitors in and we have to make it simple for them to get here, because it is a long journey and it can be exhausting, but it is worthwhile to be here. And as one competitor said to me, just the thought of playing in this opera house is something to be aspired to and to be a prize in itself. 32 young people have given us enormous pleasure, and just to be chosen is a prize. And many of them will go on, I know, to be fully professional. As I look at the musicians that we have heard from in this last final section, I know that there are great careers that are going to come from those young people. So thank you to everybody who supports the competition. Thank you to everyone who makes it possible, who work hard, who are the CEO, Marcus Barker, the President, Virginia, everyone who cares desperately about music and about sharing the wonder and emotion that it brings is doing something important to keep this world together, at least on one plane. So thank you to you all for being part of it. It's been a great pleasure for the Friends to give this prize.
Thank you very much, Bronwyn. It's now time to talk about the jury. You can't have a competition without judges. Our jury has done an exemplary job over the past 2.5 weeks. A number of them performed at the opening gala. They have listened attentively to every single performance. They also listened to and gave feedback to the 26 young, talented Australian musicians who participated in our Australian Showcase program. A number of them gave masterclasses also to young Australian musicians. For the duration of the competition, they have shown the utmost professionalism and dedication to the nurturing of young musical talent, and we are extremely grateful for their contribution. We would like to present every jury member with a token of our appreciation, and I will call them up one by one, and Marcus is going to present them. First of all, Tanya Bannister. Alexander Gavriluk. Konstantin Shamray. Catherine Stott. Alistair Tate. Xiaohan Wang. And Uta Vyant. And it's now time to call forward our esteemed Artistic Director, Piers Lane. Piers is one of Australia's finest and most celebrated musicians. He has an outstanding international reputation as a concert pianist, but more than that, he has been one of Australia's most important musical ambassadors around the world. His care and concern and passion for this competition and its integrity and reputation are an enormous asset. I now invite Piers to come forward to receive a token of our appreciation and then to address us and to give us the news we've been waiting to hear. Piers Lane.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, the world, and countrymen. Thank you, Mark, for your lovely introduction. It's extraordinary to be in this position now. Marcus and I have been waiting to give birth since July 2016, and we've just been delivered with 6 very healthy prize winners, and a few others as well. They have been put through the most rigorous tests to arrive at this position, probably, I suspect, the most rigorous in any competition, actually. And one of the most testing things was to get into it. We listened, 3 other pre-selectors and I, back in January, to 250 application videos of about half an hour each. And it was a really difficult task to select just 32 because the level was extraordinarily high this year. And there could have been many other possibilities than the 32 that you've heard during the last 18 days. But the 32 you have heard, I'm sure you'll all agree, were extraordinarily advanced and wonderful communicative musicians and artists. And I'll tell you what tests they've been put through. They started out having to do a 20-minute round. That's like playing a bracket in a concert, in a mixed concert. And then they played a half-an-hour recital, which is like sharing a concert with somebody else. And those had to include an Australian work written in the 21st century. So they had to learn that definitely from scratch. And many of the works chosen were from the competition Composing the Future, which the Sydney mounted 2 years ago. So it was thrilling to have many composers receive their world premieres by the competitors of this competition. Then they had to play a semi-final round of 70 minutes, which is almost the length of a full recital, and it was to include an encore and verbal introductions, not the easiest thing for people speaking in maybe their second or third language, but they all revealed another side of themselves to the audience. While they were doing these 3 concerts, they had to use the piano brands with which they were presented. And so a third played Fazioli, the first name drawn out of the hat, a third played Kawai, and a third played Steinway in the preliminary. And then when they moved up to the second round of the preliminaries, they played the next one on the alphabetical list for them. Likewise, for the semi-final round. And then they were allowed to choose for their chamber music. Now they had prepared both a complicated violin sonata and a complicated cello sonata and encores, because it really sorts out people to accompany an encore where the violinist or cellist, and in this case the great Andrew Haveron and the great Li Wei Chin, were playing works that they chose for violinistic reasons, the sort of thing that you would play as an encore in a concert, tricky to accompany. And so that takes a special talent to follow rubato and all that sort of thing. It reveals a different side of their musicianship. Then there was a massive step up to this vast auditorium with its iconic status. It's no mean thing to play in the Sydney Opera House. And to move from the grateful acoustic of the Verbruggen Hall at the Sydney Conservatorium, wonderful acoustic there, a lovely welcoming hall to play in, to this rather forbidding space. It's the most wonderful space, and of course it's probably the most famous building on the planet from modern times. But it's a big move to make, and to suddenly play with orchestra and a classical work which will reveal other things about you as well. Then to move on in this last 2 days to one of the really big concertos written since 1800, and wonderful choices there. Everything told the jurors something about the competitors, and they formed a cumulative picture over the rounds of what they had to offer in different ways. And so it's not just tonight's decision based on the performance you may have heard tonight or last night, but across that whole range of activities, and bearing in mind what the winners will have to face. They'll have to face immediately, in their very tired state, I suspect, a national tour next week. They'll play in the Australian Festival of Chamber Music up in North Queensland, and they'll play in the capital cities. They will return to Australia next year and have an enormous tour which will take in not only capital cities, but a lot of smaller country places where I've never played. And they'll be meeting school children and giving masterclasses, all sorts of those activities. They'll be playing in London's Wigmore Hall during the next year. They'll be playing in Portugal and America, Italy, all sorts of things are being sorted, and symphony orchestras as well. So it's a really major thing for the winner, but we want not just the winner to have help and support for the future in this competition. I remember from the winners in 2016 that 5 of them returned to Australia in the next few years. I hope that may happen for everybody here too. We shall see. Enormous congratulations to them, enormous thanks to the piano brands Fazioli, Kawai and Steinway. And other people have mentioned the donors with whom we couldn't put on without whom we couldn't put on the competition, and the volunteers, everybody involved. I think perhaps I should get on to the news of the night. And first of all, I'll announce the prizes that have been given to people who are no longer in this country. And the first of those is the winner of the Rhonda Gillespie Best Performance of a Work from Any Period Before 1950 by a rarely played and unduly neglected composer of $1,500, donated by Dr. Harold Fabricant. And the winner of that prize is Dennis Linnick for his performance of Liatoshinsky's 5 Preludes and Frank Bridges' 2 solos. So if you're listening online, Dennis, congratulations. Then we have the winner of the Jeffrey Tozer Most Promising Pianist Not Proceeding to the Finals award of $5,000 for probably the next person in the line of semi-finalists. That has been donated by Joan Adler and won by the Canadian pianist Carter Johnson. Carter Johnson also won the prize for the best program presentation in the semi-final, another award of $3,000 donated by Barbara Laser. Then we come to the winner of the Malcolm Williamson Best Performance of an Australian Piece Award of $5,000. And it was donated by Dr. Robert Mitchell, who I know is here, in memory of Dennis Condon. The same person won the Isidore Goodman Prize for the Best Preliminaries Round 2 Recital, worth $3,000, and donated by the Victorian Friends of the Sydney International Piano Competition. I'm very sad that Junlin Wu is not with us to receive his prize in person. I hope he's watching too, and huge congratulations to Junlin. Now we come to somebody who is here. And this is the winner of the Nancy Weir Best Australian Pianist Prize of $10,000, donated by the Youth Music Foundation in Melbourne, presented by Olivia Collins, who has come up specially, and that is to the only Australian who got to the semi-finals and who only found out he was in the competition 10 days before the first round. Extraordinary feat, and massive congratulations to Ruben Sang. We can't let Ruben go and have his photograph taken yet with Olivia, because he's also the winner of the medal by sculptor Alex Seaton for the most promising competitor, plus a $1,000 prize, and that is going to be presented by Graham Wicks. And as we all know, things go in threes, so he's also the winner of a Special Encouragement Award of $1,000 offered by Avia and Bron Kleinbird and presented by Bron Kleinbird. Thank you, Ruben. And now we come to the winner, your winner, the winner of the Rex Hopcroft People's Choice Prize of $10,000. And that goes to Winona Inwo Wang. Congratulated by Warwick Baker, the General Manager of Kauai, Australia and New Zealand, and she will also receive a concert in the 2024 Sydney Festival in January, supported by the Sydney Festival Artistic Director, Olivia Ansell. So, wonderful prize. Now we're getting to the pointy end. The winner of the Noel Newton Wood sixth prize of $7,500 will be donated by Rosalind Carlson OAM, and that will go to Vitaly Starikov. But before Vitaly disappears, he's going to receive Vitaly, you can't escape yet. You are also the winner of the Geoffrey Parson Best Performance of a Sonata for Cello and Piano Award of $3,000, presented by Minnie Biggs. Hang on, you're also the winner of the Una Bourne Best Accompanist Prize of $3,000, donated by Margaret Taylor in memory of her late husband, Major Derek Taylor, and presented by Margaret. Now, the winner of the Arthur Benjamin Fifth Prize of $10,000, sponsored by Universal Music Australia and presented by Cyrus Mayer Homji, also on the board of the Sydney, is Winona in Wang. Winona is also the winner of the Hepzibah Menuhin Award for the Best Performance of a Sonata for Violin and Piano, worth $3,000, donated by David and Jan Robinson, who can't be with us tonight. This award will be presented by His Excellency, David Hurley. Now, the winner of the William Murdoch Fourth Prize of $15,000, donated by Baroness Jocelyn von Bertzelaer and Dame Adrian Stewart from New Zealand, and an anonymous donor in memory of dear New Zealand friend and philanthropist Murray Shaw, who sadly passed away earlier this year, to be presented by Her Excellency Mrs. Hurley to Yuan Fan Yang. Now we come to somebody who has won 3 prizes. Do we? Yes, no. We come to somebody who has won 2 prizes. That is the winner of the Roy Agnew Best Concerto 1800 and earlier prize of $5,000, donated by Associate Professor Michael Stubbs in celebration of his aunt, the Australian pianist Ruth Gerald, whom I know terribly well in London. And His Excellency will present that award and the George Frederick Boyle Third Prize of $20,000, sponsored by Jane and Fraser Davey, Liz and Gundo Gibson, JBM and M, in memory of Jim and Joan Bonner, Gary Nash, and 2 anonymous donors. To Yung Yung Guo. Well, the next person has won a number of prizes, so I'll start with the Edward Cale Best Preliminaries Round 1 recital of $3,000, donated by the Friends of Chopin in Australia, presented by Ben James to Uladislau Kandohi. While you're still there, you are also the winner of the Ignaz Friedman Recital Prize for the Best Semi-Finals of $3,000, donated by Dr. Robert Mitchell in memory of Dennis Condon, and presented indeed by Robert Mitchell. Uladislau is also the winner of the Best Encore in the semi-final, worth $3,000 for that ravishing Chopin Mazurka in A minor, donated by the late Jane Chovka and supported by Tom Chavoyka, her husband, presented by Her Excellency, Mrs. Hurley. And the big prize that Ladislaw has won is the Percy Granger second prize of $25,000, donated by Loz Copley, the founder of Philanthropy Initiative Australia. And Loz is here to present the second prize to Ladislaw Andoi. I seem to have lost the last page. The winner of the Miriam Hyde Best 19th or Century Concerto Prize, worth $5,000, donated by Janice Toonman in memory of her husband Hank and presented by Janice, is Jongwan Kim. Jongwan is also the winner of the Eileen Joyce Best Overall Concerto Prize of $5,000, donated by Drs. Keith and Eileen Ong and presented by them as well. And you can guess what this final prize is. The winner of the Ernest Hutchison First Prize of the Sydney International Piano Competition 2023. Donated by the Friends of the Sydney International Piano Competition and presented by the President of the Friends, the Honourable Bronwyn Bishop, $50,000 to Jongwan Kim. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you agree we've had the most fantastic competition. I couldn't have wished for a better one, really. And I want to give a personal thanks to all my friends on the jury. They've been just wonderful to work with, such a team, and I'll miss them. And thank you to Mark for all his wonderful commentary throughout. And, well, thank you to everybody involved. We've had a grand feast, haven't we? You know, it's the biggest piano festival, really, in Australia, and certainly one of the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. It's such an important thing, and we have to make our 50th anniversary, so let's all work towards the next competition due in 2026. Thank you all so much. I'm going to hand back to Mark to conclude the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Piers. What an exciting evening, what a wonderful, uplifting and heartwarming 2.5 weeks we have, and how powerful and how important is music, and particularly music and encouraging music and the arts in young people. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your support of the Sydney International Piano Competition. We will be back in 2026, Piers, won't we? Yes, we will. And we need your support, and we need the support of our donors, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for being here tonight. It's good night from us.